Let's go with the 49ers. I'm going to guess you might be a little richer on them, Charles, the 49ers. Did you keep them off?
They didn't make my list. I'm terrified of them.
Perfect. Let's talk about them right now. Matt,
boy.
Okay, we'll get to you, Charles. Okay, Matt.
No.
The 49ers,
oh boy, because I'm about to get targeted. Yeah, here we go.
Fine. So not a top 10 defense, not a top 10 offense. That's weird for 49ers. It's just like, I feel like they're always on these lists. But Matt, you have them at 6. I have them at 7. Why do you have them at 6, Matt? I'll give my points afterwards.
Okay, first of all, I regret some of the things I said on the top 10 quarterback episode. I do not regret having Brock Purdy as a top 10 quarterback. The more I've gone back and watched film from last year, I think that guy is just really took a step last season. I'm very impressed. So the fact they have that type of player, that's good. And look, they're a top 10 offense when everything went wrong last year, still by most metrics. So I feel pretty good. With McCaffrey healthy right now, right? Going into the season, he's having a good training camp. He's healthy. Kittle obviously is
he
still
healthy,
awesome.
Or is he 30-year-old running back healthy?
Well, he's healthier than he was last year.
Yeah.
So, and I even I would love actually, I know fantasy people won't like this, but I would actually kind of love if they did mix in Garendo or mixed in Jordan James, just to take some of the grinder stuff away from Christian McCaffrey every now and again. I think that would behoove them to do that, but I still think he can be a passing game mismatches, which is really what he brings to the table here. Again, Kittle is still Kittle. Juwan Jennings, he don't look like a special player or anything, but he looks like a rock solid, number 2 receiver that average separator in my mind. I know some other metrics disagree, but I see an average separator, but somebody who wins on the critical intermediate routes in this offense, and big time ball winner, contested catch guy, good hands, and he breaks tackles. Doesn't make face melting Deebo Samuel type plays, but he will break a tackle. And I think Purdy really trusted him in tight coverage. And I'm really high on Ricky Pearsall. I think Pearsall is going to have a big second year. And, obviously I don't really know what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk. I don't know if we're going to see the best of him this year, if we when we will even see him this year. That was definitely if he was healthy and he was fully operational, I think this would be a top 3 unit. So I did give them a little bit of discount for Ayuk, the question mark, because again, let's not forget that in 2023 that guy was a top 6 wide receiver in the NFL at worst. So there's a lot to like here. Notice I did not say anything about the 5 big men up front. That was one area that maybe if Charles, maybe that might be the reason that you docked him.
That's why I dumped them. Yeah, off the list.
Yeah,
and I was reading something from Matt Miacco, who covers the 49ers for the NBC out in San Francisco. He said looks like Brandon Ayuk is probably going to start the season on the PUP list, which means he's guaranteed to be out for at least the first 4 games of the year. I don't like the offensive line. Ricky Pearsall's been banged up all summer with a hamstring. He just got back to practice. And the version of Christian McCaffrey that I saw last year was nowhere close to the player that they traded for. I actually with you that Brock Purdy, I thought he improved last year. To me, that's a fine starting quarterback that you can live with and you can win with. But I'm just concerned about the conditions around him deteriorating to a point where they could get off to a slow start and potentially stumble and get to a point where you really got to push the gas in the middle of the season. So I left them off the list because I just have too many questions about where they are today. If they were healthier, and I didn't think their offensive line looked like, I could get past it, then I would have them a little bit higher. But man, that offensive line situation just scares me. Brandon Ayuk's still out. He's not practicing. It's just too many negatives for me right now.
I thought you were going to say, Charles, I saw a headline where Trent Williams was getting pissed at practice because and maybe this is fake news, so who knows, social media is so bad, but Trent Williams was getting frustrated at practice because Nick Bosa is just, kind of kicking his ass, which, hey, Nick Bosa, a really good player, but I was like, damn, if Trent Williams takes any step back, we're really in some trouble here. So I admit that gave me a slight spook.
Yeah, Trent Williams, who's 37 this year. Yep, just turned 37. Older than me. This is why I had the 49ers at 7th. I was trying to figure out where to put them because it's one of those where it's Kyle Shanahan, top 10. That's kind of where my brain just says. He just goes, okay, locked in. And it was just like, it just kept dropping them and dropping them and dropping them and dropping them. But I'm totally with you guys. I kind of said it under my breath as you guys were talking. It's like, I agree with that. Purdy got so much better. And we talked about with some like things to look for this season. Kind of the twist that they've done in their drop back game, letting him be like a true quarterback and drop back, no play action, under center, old school style. And they're really leaning into it. And I really like it. But he can handle it more like, well, like you can win a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. There's no question about it. That he's made a run already, and the game went to overtime against the Chiefs. But they really can. Like he has that, and Kyle Shanahan always gets my vote of confidence. But the O-line, it's one of those where it's like I've gotten so burned. I don't say burned, but over the years I just keep going like, oh, the offensive line, oh, that offensive line. And then it's like Shanahan figures it out. Yeah, playoffs is a different story. We're just talking about top 10 offenses regular season. Like once we get the playoffs, that's something different. But that's just like where maybe I'm narrative scouting this as opposed to just looking at really what's happening. 37-year-old left tackle, no depth at offensive line. I mean, no depth. That one guy's hurt. It's just really, we're going Matt Hennessy. Like that's what we're trotting out there.
Oh man,
they have guys I never even scouted on their line. Like I know I'm not Brandon Thorne, how deep I go with offensive line scouting, but there's guys I'm like, I don't even know a tidbit about you. Having said that, this is my number 7 offense. Why? Yeah, they have the O-line iffiness. Ayuk might be out, even though if he is in top 10 receiver. The Juwan Jennings thing really does help for me. Juwan Jennings has turned into a dude. Not saying a star, but at least a high end 2, like Matt kind of alluded to. He said a 2. But last year, Juwan Jennings ranked 6th in first downs per route among all receivers, 9th in successful targets per route, 10th in yards per route. He might be the best blocking receiver in the NFL, or at least on the podium, and all while receiving the 10th highest target share among receivers last year. So it wasn't like just like slotted, low usage. Like he got increased usage and his efficiency stayed. I usually use the Millsap doctrine, which is an old basketball thing on pass rushers, but it's kind of receivers as well. CMC.
The Millsap
He played all
doctrine.
3 positions last year too. Like Juwan Jennings played all 3 receiver positions last year because he started as kind of like a big slot there in between Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. But then when Ayuk went down, he started playing a lot more X receiver. I don't think like X is his long-term home, but the fact that like this is a guy that can play all 3 positions, that just adds like another log to the fire there.
I would say 2022, 2023, or did they make it around? So it must have been 2022, his rookie year. He started having to play, and he kept catching a lot of first downs on third down against the Rams. I just like specifically remember from the slot, just kept catching these out routes. And sure enough, since 2022, he's a top 10 receiver on third down. Like they trust him, and he just keeps getting better and better. He's a big body. I really like it. But this is kind of my last point with it is they have Kittle, and they made the signing of Luke Farrell from the Jags in this offseason. And I know this is a blocking tight end. It's a second tight end on the roster. They did this for a reason. They gave him okay money too. It's because it gives them more options personnel-wise. They got Juszczyk still there. They can do some interesting things with those 3 guys. But now you don't need 11 personnel. You don't need 3 receivers all the time. We can get the 2 tight ends on the field, split Kittle out, and we still got Farrell on the field that can do the blocking things as well, even though Kittle's one of the best blocking tight ends as well. I just like that. It gave them a kind of like a little bit of way to pivot while they sort out the receiver room and figure out exactly what's going on with everybody. So that was just maybe one little minor thing to kind of lift up the floor for me, but I ended up slotting him at 7. That just kind of felt like the comfortable position anyways for me.